Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf podcast that interviews the best and brightest minds in the golf industry. Now, here's your host, Bernard Sheridan.
Steve, welcome to Breaking Par. Thanks so much for taking the time out to be with us here today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
So, we usually start out with asking you first, what is the very first time that you picked up a golf club? And then, between that time, when was it that you decided that maybe this is what you wanted to do as a profession?
First time that I remember picking up a club, I think I was around 9 or 10, and it was right around the time Tiger Woods was in the Masters, I think in '97, and my grandfather was over, and we had some old clubs in the garage, and they just, took a saw out, chopped it off, tossed a new grip on, and, we went down to the baseball field where I live, right down the street, and I started hitting drivers from home plate. That's really the first time I remember really hitting balls. And then how I really got into it, I would say between ages 12 and 13, I played all the sports, but it started to really drift away from baseball, and I wanted to keep playing golf. And I remember it was one of my last weeks playing baseball, and I told my dad, I was like, listen, I'm done with this. I just don't want to play baseball anymore. I really just want to play golf, and that was pretty much it. And I remember even driving home, I think I went like 0 for 4 at the plate. I struck out 4 times, and it was terrible. My dad was like, listen, you're done. Let's do the golf thing. And that's pretty much how it started.
So, and when you did that, where were you? Like, did you play a lot? Did you play in events? Was there any kind of junior programs at that time for you to get involved in?
We did, some of the local junior camps in the area. A couple of my friends did. We signed up for very informal junior golf tournaments, maybe once a month at a local golf course. And then right around that time, when I was getting into it, we started to get fit for golf clubs. We went over to this golf course to get fit, and it was right around the corner from our house, and they were telling us how good of a junior deal they had. So my dad looked at it, and then we signed up. This was all right around that 12, 13-year-old period. So before, we would just sneak out, hit balls, go to the driving range and to the golf course every now and then. But then right around when we were starting to get serious in the golf clubs is when we met the pro at Merchantville Country Club in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and that's where we started. So, I was there, I think that summer when I was 13, I think I played 70 rounds of golf that summer. I was there every day. Couldn't leave the golf course.
So then when was it that you decided that you wanted to move into this and do instruction?
That was, I would say, right around my earlier than that, my sophomore year of high school. My first golf lessons were with Dave Quinn. I started taking golf lessons with Dave Quinn right around, I think, 13, 14. And through Dave Quinn, I met Mac O'Grady. And then through Mac O'Grady, I met Andy Plummer and Mike Bennett. And I've been around those guys pretty much my whole entire life. And the thing I liked about the golf instruction part, especially being around those guys, is they had an answer. It wasn't, like they talk around. If you ask something, you got an answer, or you got a picture on a camera. And I really like the fact that, 1 + 1 = 2. If you do this and you make the picture look like this on the camera, you'll get it. So I was really intrigued in all the science and the angles behind everything. And I started filming my swing from a real early age. And, having good guys around me I could look at as mentors, and they helped me, and it just kept going from there. I was just really into all the video and all the angle part of it.
Yeah, I know that for the longest time, and still to this day even, there's a lot of instructors that when you ask them those questions, you don't get those kind of answers.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a lot of those workaround, or this is why you have to do it, or I know that's why I got into instruction, because I started really late in life. I was actually an audio engineer, was my career, in the Philadelphia area, and ran all the same areas that you are in now, up and down the Jersey coast and all in nightclubs in Philadelphia, and then up to New York and down to DC and things like that. And I kind of got the golf bug and started to get pretty good at it. And then when I would ask questions to certain instructors, they really couldn't break it down for me.
Right. So
exactly. I thought, you know what, I got to figure this out. And then that's when I started to break it down, because I was an engineer, and that's just what I do. Is tear things apart. And then and that's really what kind of lit a fire under my tail to say, you know what, maybe I should be doing this also.
Right.
And because all my audio work was at night, so I had all day once my kids were in school to be able to devote to that type of thing, and then try to build us some students, and started in the Philly area, which is close to where you are.
Yep.
And now I'm in Naples, so like we were speaking of before we went on the air.
Yep.
So is predominantly what you teach stack and tilt, or do you use stack and tilt as maybe for that model that it fits the players that you're working with, and then you kind of work outside of those parameters, or what's the main things that you use?
Yeah, no, I have a template, that I use, and I'll just problem solve within the template. So I mean, you get emails, and as well as I do all the time, hey, listen, I'm just looking for a couple of things to help me play better. And then I'll tell them, like, listen, like I'll run through, I'll take a picture of your swing, we'll run through, I'll say, okay, this part's good, this part's good, this part's good. Oh, here's where you're struggling. There's a couple parts here. This is why you hit behind the ball. Here's why you hit some to the right or to the left. And just so you have a workable template to use from, you're problem solving and picking and choosing what pieces you're applying at each given time to use that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm constantly learning more, constantly talking to my mentors, and from that I'm always building on top of the template that I choose to teach from.
Do you feel that a lot of the players that you work with fall into a stack and tilt category, or do you think that it's a small percentage? Or I mean, what do you run against with that?
I would say everybody fits into that category. The fact that they all do everybody that plays has to perform the basic movements of the swing, which is the extending of the spine, the tilting, and the turning. So everybody does those parts. That would be like the basics. Anybody who's any good does those. And then from that, you're working around different grips, different face angles, different wrist conditions, different arm positions, and that's the part that you're fine tuning to make sure that the ball flies the way that it flies. So I mean, you're always working backwards. What's the ball do? And then you're working back. Okay, the ball does this. Here are the pieces that we need to fix to make the ball fly better, so you can play better golf. Would be the way I'd answer that. Right.
Now, do you do a lot of work with students on the golf course also?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a junior, a pretty big junior program. An elite junior program where we have, I would say, between 10 to 15 students I have that are on like a salary type based program for the year. And, we'll do all different aspects of the game. 1 week is full swing. 1 week we go out, we'll work on like wedge shots or shots from 150 and in. Another week we're doing short game. So it's kind of like tailored how the guys on the tour do it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So with those elite players, I'm trying to get them on the golf course at least, I would say, 2 times a month, because you can see way more on the course than you can on the driving range. And then the other thing that we just started implementing in our program is this Operation 36 program, where we take the kids ages 6 to 10 and we have them go out on the golf course and try to shoot 36 or better for 9 holes, starting at 25 yards. And currently, right now, we have 32 kids enrolled in that program, and we're looking at that to be a feeder into our elite program.
How do you find that program is working out for you guys? Do you think that that the kids really embrace it and they really enjoy it a lot more than if you were just kind of taking them to a lesson tee?
Yeah, because it's what's great about this Operation 36 program is how engaging it is. So, we're meeting once a week on the driving range to cover a different subject, and we'll teach them the subject for, say, 15 minutes. And then we kind of keep breaking them down into groups, and we'll play different games to keep them engaged, working on what we just taught them. And then, they come the Saturdays for the golf matches, and that is if we have a 12-week schedule, 6 out of the 12 weeks we go out on the golf course and play. And we're kind of just marshaling, making sure the pace of play is good, nobody's falling behind. But we can see out on the golf course what certain kids struggle with, what need the most attention, and then we'll incorporate that into our programs for the practice during the week. And this is our second year doing it, and we've already grown by 15 kids in 1 year. So we're very excited with how this is going.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome, because really that's, you know, the future of golf, and the more juniors you can get into the game, the more people are going to kind of get the bug and be embraced by it.
We have 32 families coming to our facility 1.5 times a week. So I mean that's great, and that leads to club sales, more individual lessons. You know, the food and beverage industry makes something off of it. It's really a home run, this program.
Now, are a lot of those families, are they taking the kids out to play also on their own? I mean, without
absolutely.
you guys?
Yeah. They come out, and well, we want the parents to be there to caddy, or kind of, you know, just
sure.
So that they go out on the golf course with them, and it's actually turned into where the grandparents come. It's almost like a gallery sometimes of how everybody's out on the course. But then because they're enrolled in our program, we give the kids free golf. Like, they can come for free golf, and we charge the parents a cart fee. So we're getting a lot of parents coming over, you know, 5, 6 o'clock at night just to play quick 9 holes. They'll tee the kid up at, say, 50 yards or wherever they're working from, and then the parent will play their set of tees, and it's awesome.
Yeah, so now it moves along pretty quickly. And now, are you charging the parents the greens fee too, or?
No, when the parents come out, if they're enrolled in the program, we're just charging the parent a cart fee.
That's great. Like, that's an awesome deal.
Yeah, cart fee, and then the kid's free.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
So recently, I want to say you've been voted into the top 40 youngest professionals in the country. So how does that feel?
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I've been nominated. I think this was my second, maybe third time being nominated, and I was very, very surprised that I got that award. Recently, about a month before that, in September, I got the Junior Golf Leader Award in the Philadelphia Section. So I got that. I was excited about that, and all of a sudden I won this one too. Like, back-to-back months, I was like on cloud 9. I couldn't believe that I just won both of those. So it was I was very very surprised. I mean, I was getting text messages from some people, and they're like, "You won," and I didn't even really realize that it was true until I saw the form out, and I was very excited.
Well, congratulations on that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, how has that affected your instruction business?
I would definitely say that it's increased. There's no doubt that it's increased. And I think the big thing that my general manager did at the golf course, they made this nice big banner, and they hold it at our driving range. They just post it up at the driving range, and where it says, you know, what I won. And I mean, our driving range, we sell $300,000 worth of golf balls a year at our driving range, and it's a big public facility. So I mean, there's a ton of traffic there. So people seeing that will stop, ask questions, or call the pro shop. So definitely the individual golf lessons have increased. There's no doubt about that.
That's great. Good for you. I mean, it's, you know, a lot of hard work, well rewarded, and that's a fine thing for you, and it's you know, it's really good. So equipment wise, what are you using on the lesson tee, and do you use anything out on the course?
Yeah, I would say the main thing that I'm using every day is my iPad, taking pictures with the iPad. I still have one of the Casio F1 cameras. I use that, and I'll go inside and plug it in on my V1. So those are the most camera equipment I would use. And obviously your cell phone means the same thing really as the iPad. The other things that I'll use training-wise is I do use some of, Martin Chuck's devices that he's made, the little ball,
Sure.
that incline plane that he uses. That's good. And then really, other than that, it's just really my alignment sticks and some spray paint to keep spray painting some grids and some arcs on the ground to show them. I don't really get too much caught up in a lot of the training aids. There's a lot of good out there to do it, but I found really just using my camera, going over the before and after pictures and using some spray paint on the ground to have them have some awareness of what the club does is helpful. And sometimes right away they see like some of the spray paint on the ground and they'll be like thrown back by it. But then I'll explain to them and I'll say, listen, like when you go to drive your car in the morning, there's lines on the road. You know, there's guidelines show you how to drive your car. When you pull into the parking lot, there's white lines tell you where to park. Like you're not freaked out by that. I said, when you guys see this paint, that's different to you because you're used to looking down to seeing grass. You know,
right.
I see these arcs and I see how the club and the hands move. I'm trying to give you some guidelines to show you how to do it. So the first 10 minutes is maybe a little bit of a battle. And then about halfway through the lesson, most of the time, like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. I see what you mean on the camera now. This really helps me grasp how the club moves. It's really like a 10, 15-minute discussion, and then you get over the hurdle of that. But I've really found just the camera and the paint and a couple of training aids is good enough to do a good job.
Okay, so then technology-wise, like launch monitors or
plates
or anything like that, do you use anything like that at all too, or no?
I have a flight scope. Yes, we have a flight scope at the course. I'll use that, I would say about half the time. You know, if I want to look at, you know, some driver numbers or some face-to-path numbers, I'll use it. It's also helpful to be able to put the flight scope to a picture. So somebody that's coming over the top, you'll show them, hey, listen, here's where your shaft is, here's where your arm is. This is why this number reads, 5 degrees across the ball. Then that way, you have more validation with everything. So yeah, I will incorporate the flight scope too.
Yeah, I find that too. We use TrackMan and Foresight, and both of those, I find that it gives a validation where you can say to a student, look, here's the path. And we want to change the path from here to here or a little bit more to the inside.
Right.
Then they start to understand it. We don't use it at every lesson either, because there's a lot of times that you might not even be working on full swing. You could be working on short game or in the bunker or around the green or things like that.
Yeah. So
with a lot of your students, are you pretty much going all over the place like that with them, or are you like, let's say a new student comes, are you working mostly on full swing, or are you working on like kind of whatever it is that they want to work on?
I would say majority of the time it's mostly full swing, and if I see a deficiency where they're having a tough time like pitching ball or chipping, I'll take them to the side and do that. But mostly everything is pretty much geared towards full swing. A lot of the lessons I do are like a series, like a lot of packages we sell at the facility. So normally the first one's always like an evaluation on full swing, unless they really want to do like short game, then I'll do that. But mostly everybody comes, I'm struggling with my driver or I can't hit my irons. So normally the first 2 lessons are geared towards full swing. And then towards the last one, I would normally like to see some chipping, some pitching, some bunker play, just to make sure that they're not god awful at it. Because there's been times where I've watched someone hit the ball and they're like, okay, you're doing pretty good, and they're happy with how they're doing. I say, hey, let's go over to the chipping area. Let's see, hit some shots. And I'm thinking they're going to do pretty good, and all of a sudden they set up to it like they're hitting a full 7-iron. I'm like, what are you doing? And they say that they were chipping good. I'm like, you're not chipping the ball good. This isn't very good. So. I try to talk to the students to see what they want to do, but most of the time, and this, they don't really know what they're doing. So
I think a lot of them, they don't know what they want to do because they don't have all the insight into every facet of the game. They just think, if I can get it in the fairway and if I can hit the green in regulation, which is not that often, but if I can hit the green, they don't think about, can I get up and down? Can I do this? Can I put myself in this situation and get out of it? What do I do when I'm in trouble? Can I make a smart decision on the golf course? Do I need to hit it away from the water, or can I kind of flirt with that? Do I need to be pin hunting, or should I be going for the center of every green? Depending upon their handicap level, that's all going to vary. So yeah, I mean, I know that with our students, I know when they're doing packages, after a few lessons, a lot of them will say, yeah, I'm striking the ball a lot better, but my scores aren't reflecting it. And so then I'll say, well, let's look at other parts of your game.
Right. And that's pretty much the same way, the same thing that I'll follow.
And I think that's pretty normal for most instructors.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of students who don't, like we were just talking about, they don't think about those things, and they just think about, or they just want to do full swing all the time.
Right.
And they're really not interested in doing what really is what makes you score and how to get the ball in the hole.
There's no doubt. I mean, I love looking at the pictures and looking at the full swing. Like that's really what I like to do. And it hurts me to say sometimes, especially some of the good junior players and college players that have, like, you need to be really good from like 130 and in to get to the next level. And I hate saying that because I love standing on the tee and watching drivers and these 6-irons. So telling them, like, listen, you really got to polish up this wedge game and this short game to really get to the next level to shoot under par. That's really where a lot of shots are lost.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because, like, with me, I'm kind of the opposite. I like everything like from like 100 yards and in.
Yeah.
And I really like around the green, and I really like putting.
Yeah.
And I really like teaching those. I probably enjoy teaching those things more than I do full swing.
Yeah.
And I try to get that in as much as possible, but it's not always that easy because most students would rather just work on full swing. And
yeah.
And my goal is to try to whittle their scores down. Their goal is usually to hit it farther.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants. I mean, hitting it far is great. I mean, it really is. But if it's not accurate, it's not going to help you.
Exactly.
So, you know, and also too, I think that some of them believe that it has to be really accurate in order to be able to play good golf, and that's not true either. I mean, you can kind of as long as you're on the property,
right?
If there's other parts of your game are good, you can be a single-digit handicap.
Oh, I mean, you could look this past week, the WGC. Thomas Peters had the 54-hole lead, and he was only hitting 30% of the fairways.
There you go.
He didn't win the tournament. You know, he had a bad final round, but I mean, you know, there is some to that. I mean, if you're hitting it, and like you said, if you can hit it and find it, and you have a pretty, you know, clear opening, not any penalty shots, you know, you can score and scramble a little bit. There's no doubt about that.
Now, do you find that most of your students, they put a little bit more pressure on themselves to perform something than actually their ability level is? I know that I run into that a lot.
No, I haven't seen not too much of that, not really.
I get that a lot down here. There's a lot of players, especially players who are fairly new players, and maybe were good in other sports, put these really high expectations on what they should be doing. Or how they should be performing, and how quickly they should learn things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll run into that every now and then. I would say majority of the players that I'm practicing with are don't have really that high expectations. You know, obviously, more of the elite level college players and some of the juniors do, but most of the adults and the everyday lessons that I teach, they know what their expectations are. They want to be able to hit the ball solid, just have a good time playing golf. They know they're not going to, you know, obviously make money off of this. They just want to enjoy the game. So I haven't really run into that too often. You know, every now and then you'll get somebody that gives you a little bit of a hard time or really wants to play good, and that's the part where I'll just show them the pictures. Like, listen, if you think you're going to get better practicing the way you're practicing, you're not going to do that. And I'll say it to my juniors. Also, they'll come out like, "Hey, listen, are we going to hit balls today? Or are we going to practice?" And they know right away what I mean. Like, are you going to practice the parts to get better, or are you just going to sit here and hit balls and do exercise, basically? So I guess that leads to the question that you're saying is kind of like how to practice. And I think most people don't practice right. They're really just hitting for exercise. I mean, if you're going to practice right, if you give them a drill, or if I give them a drill to do, I want you to start tapping these balls out, doing the drill and doing the part right, and then build yourself up that way. as opposed to you thinking you're doing it, and then the camera says one thing and the ball says another thing. So that I think that leads us to the point of how to practice properly.
Right, and I believe too that drills are extremely important for students to start to ingrain that consistency.
Yeah.
Because if they don't do that and they just continue to hit balls, what they're really doing is ingraining the issues that they already have.
Yeah, and I would take it a step further. I agree with that. People always ask, well, what's a good drill? Well, the drill is to do the part right that you're practicing. So the ball flies differently. So, I mean, if you're trying to, let's just say you're trying to draw the ball and you're coming over the top and your arm's way out, coming down, your shaft's way out, you should be making these like practice swings where that thing's like way behind you, way inside. You should be hitting these big, huge little push draws, like 60, 70-yard shots with like your 7-iron, just to incorporate the feel. And then from there, build yourself up. And then as soon as you slice one, go right back down to that little drill again, keeping the club behind you, keep your arm in. So people ask me all the time, well, what's a good drill? And I'll tell them, well, what we did in our lesson, just do that real slow. That's your drill. Practice these little swings and build yourself up. That's how I've seen the improvement happen the fastest. Work small and then go fast and then break it back down to small again.
Yeah, I think the magic word there that you just used in that whole little joint there was practice swing and feel the practice swing. So and really, when there's a practice swing, there's no ball involved.
Exactly.
And that I know that I run into, not always, but every student that I see when I'm working with them, a lot of times there's no practice swing before the shot.
Yeah. Right.
They pull a ball over and then they hit it. So that what that makes me think is when they're on the golf course, they're just kind of looking at what they have to do and walking up and hitting it.
Yeah.
And they're not feeling what they have to do. I know that I'm a huge advocate of taking a practice swing next to the ball and feeling what you have to do and feeling the ground and feeling the lie and feeling the situation and feeling your tempo and feeling what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
And then stepping up to the ball and letting it go.
Right.
So I totally agree with that 100%. And I think that for all our listeners out there who are students of the game, which is probably everybody, even the professionals who listen to this show.
Absolutely.
That if they can kind of gather that information before they go and work on that a lot more, then you'll find that when you do hit balls, the quality of the shots go up.
Absolutely. Even like what you were just saying, if you can't even make the practice swing right, how do you expect to even do it when you're hitting the ball?
Exactly. And I've noticed too that when the ball gets in the way, a lot of players get so fixated on that ball that they cause the wrong things to happen I want to say the right things to happen at the wrong time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
You know, but when they don't have a ball there and they can kind of maybe just put a tee down and swing next to that tee, and then look at where their divot is in relationship to that tee, all of a sudden their divot starts to move forward.
Yeah.
As opposed to as soon as a ball is there, now the divot starts to move back.
Yep. I mean, I would say if I'm meeting a student for the first time, I would say the first 15 minutes, we might not even hit a ball. You know, I'll go over the pictures on the iPad, go through it, and then we'll make some practice swings. I'll just keep showing them how to make the practice swings right until I feel that the shot's going to change. So, you know, I'll call them over to the camera. Okay, here, look at this practice swing. You need to do a little more of this. Do it again. I'll have them do it again. Look at the camera. All right, this is better, a little more. Then I'll call them back over one more time. All right, look, you got it. Here's the practice swing. All right, let's tee this ball up. If you make this picture look like this in the practice swing, you'll see a change in the ball flight. And a lot of times I can get them to do it 5 swings, 5, 6 swings, and they're already changing the ball flight just by looking at the picture and making the proper practice swing.
Now, do you find too, though, that when they get the ball in front of them, that it starts to change a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. You know, as the lesson goes through, you're having highs and lows. You know, sometimes they'll get real good in the beginning, and then they'll mess up. or you'll see that a part's right and you want to add another piece into the puzzle, and they'll do the new part right, but then the old part starts falling apart. So you got to like keep balancing this thing like an airplane. So you want to hold it all together so they keep playing good. Absolutely, you'll see that throughout the lesson. You know, they'll do real good. You'll add another piece in, and then they might start drifting off, and you got to tighten it back up again. So yeah, it's always going to ups and downs.
Yeah, I know that in lessons a lot, I always try to say to them, if they hit a ball without a practice swing, and I'll say, well, what was different there?
Yeah.
And they usually won't even say, well, I didn't take a practice swing. And I'll say, look, let's hit less balls and make more conscious swings.
Yeah.
I said it's great to hit, like, because sometimes I'll have it where, you know, our when we use video and we use Swing Catalyst,
yeah,
the TrackMan and the Swing Catalyst are hooked up together, right? So now when they hit the ball, the Swing Catalyst then records it. Well, sometimes the machine doesn't even have a chance to catch up for the next recording, and they're already hitting another ball, and it's not even catching that swing.
Right. Right.
So that immediately says to them, you know, they're in a big rush here, and I usually try to say to them, like, what's the big rush? And
right.
And I think too, a lot of players on the course, they rush too much, and that's why they don't play as well. And then when they don't play as well, it takes them longer to play because they're hitting more balls. And they think that if they're rushing, they're actually keeping pace of play up.
Yeah.
When what they're actually doing is slowing pace down, and they don't even really realize that.
No, yeah, they're just running all around, this shot, and by the time you get to the green, they've already hit 9 shots.
Yeah, they start playing military golf, what we call military golf. Left, right, left, right, left, right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So for some students who are interested or who are in the Philadelphia, New Jersey area, or for anyone who's coming into that area who would like to have an opportunity to work with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch?
Really through my website, SierackiGolf.com. That has all my email and my phone number on there. I mean, you can text me, email, or call me. That's probably the best way. I probably respond fastest to the emails and the texts. You know, when you're on the lesson tee and you get phone calls, it's tough to get those at the end of the day. But yeah, email and the text messages, I would say, be the fastest. And then obviously with the way social media is working, some of the Instagram stuff, Instagram messaging has been good too as well. Yeah,
yeah. So kudos on the site. The site looks great.
Thank you.
I went up there and checked it out, and it's very easy to navigate. There's a lot of great information up there. We'll have a link to it in the show page.
Thank you.
And then that way, you know, anybody who wants to get in touch can go right to there.
Thanks a lot.
Great. Well, Steve, thanks again for being with us and taking the time. I know that you're a busy young man. We wish you all the success in the world.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. And until we meet again, do your best to keep it in the short grass.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Bernard. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Have you had enough of fat and thin shots? It's time to take control of your game and start having fun again. Improve your impact and get the ball closer to the hole. Putt like never before, and yes, have no more 3 putts. If this sounds like your game, then it's time for a lesson with Bernard Sheridan of Impact Zone Golf at Tiburon Golf Club in Naples, Florida. Call 215-518-0435 and take that next step to lowering your scores today. Remember, if you improve your impact, you improve your game.